Hello, everyone. I am thrilled to introduce David Call, our guest artist. He lives in Fremont, California. He's a retired teacher. He taught for 18 years social studies and then 12 years art. Altogether, his career spans 30 years. In 2005, he started teaching art. While he's teaching art, he knew that deaf students needed to understand their cultural identity. He needed to search online and found Devia. He was unaware of Devia previous to that. In 2011, he started selling his artwork. Now he has an exhibition with Nancy Rote work in the Dyer Art Center. We'll have a reception 5 to 7 tonight, so please do come. David?
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you all. And thanks for coming to watch my presentation. Also, Nancy is here, and the reason being is we've collaborated having an exhibit at the Dyer. She's quite a big name. I'm quite humbled to be in that exhibition with her. So thank you, Nancy, for that opportunity. I really thank you. RIT has an amazing community, so supportive of the arts. Not so much at Gallaudet. I mean, I have to be honest, nothing against them, but I'm really quite proud of your appreciation for the arts here. So, the world through the eye of a Devia artist. This is all done on linocut and printed. This is what my shop looks like. Currently the walls are completely empty because all of my pieces are in the Dyer. I miss them. It feels quite empty in there. But this way I can actually do a bit of renovations on the room, fix the lighting and such. This is my logo, meaning that this is a safe place for deaf people to be, that they can fly and create. And this is, I taught with art tools. That's all encompassed in my logo here. So this is one of my favorite quotes. Hopefully you could read this. Art is not what you see, but what you make others see. When I was teaching art to my students, once the parents gained a new understanding of their students through their art. I'm going to explain what I have up on the slides here, what block printing is, who has influenced my art, what Devia artworks are about, resilience, resistance, and affirmation and liberation. So let's start with block printing techniques. These are my tools. This is how you make a linocut. These are the tools I use. Different color inks back there. Sometimes you use one, or during the process, if you want more than one color, you have a process of doing them, or there are 3 different methods actually. You can also go back in and redesign or clean up your work while you're printing. This is a slide showing me sculpting or wood carving. You might see the tools, they get a little dull, you have to resharpen them. It takes a lot of hand and arm strength. You can't really keep up doing this all day long because you get so tired and then you get a little careless and make mistakes. If you've made a mark, there's no erasing. If you're painting, you can always paint over. If you're drawing, you can erase. But you can't if you make a mistake, you have to start over again. Have to breathe deeply, throw it away, and start all over again. But really, once you get tired, you really have to tell yourself to stop and get out. It is a very labor-intensive art. It's a very old school art. You know, nowadays we have it's easy to work on the computer, to do computer graphics, but this linocut is really old school. All art that was printed before 2018 was rolled by hand. So you would roll it, pick up the paper, and make sure that everything was inked correctly, pick it up, and if something was missing, you'd have to put it back down. But the problem with that is once you pick up the paper and put it back down, you're not always in the exact same spot. So there's a high failure rate. Typically, it was $50 for a piece of paper. These are French cut paper. It's very expensive, so it was very frustrating when we were hand rolling. So the solution to that technique is this, the Richardson print making press. This is my baby. It has solved so many problems. It's reduced error rate. Now my error rates may be down to 10%. Anybody want to guess how much this machine costs? It's a $5,000 piece of equipment, and that's the cheapest I could find. You can get them for $20,000, $30,000. But I looked, it was way too expensive for me. I found the cheapest one, but it works very well for me. I actually like it. I can print quite easily. It also, it has a hand crank. The fancier machines are digitally run by a push of a button, but I can deal with the hand crank. This is it's 300 and some odd pounds. Had to get it into my shop, got it in there. I want to think about who influenced my artwork. There are pictures on the screen of the people that I admire. Dali's work is so odd, so intricate. You really have to. Surrealism is so captivating. You really have to look deep into it. The picture on the left. When I was 4 or 5, I started doodling, and it was a way I could communicate with my parents, and I found I really enjoyed it. If you're looking at the Salvador Dali right now, as I was a teacher, a teacher said to me, look at this piece of art and tell me what it is. And I couldn't quite figure it out, but I found Dali's and found it fascinating. This artist here, Kurylik, is from the Ukraine. He had an abusive father, had mental health issues, but his artwork is so intricate that showed his life. So it's almost like a mind maze. That is such a powerful piece to me. So here are a few linocut artists that I admire. Kathy Kollwitz. She's from Germany, went through World War I and II, a German woman herself, was actually anti-Nazi and was kicked out. Powerful work she does. Albrecht Dürer. He was an incredibly intricate printmaker. Could do alphabets A to Z. I'm just fascinated by his work. And then Stephen Alcorn is still alive. He lives in New York City. Very famous linocut artist. He knows how to make thin lines, thick lines, very intricate work as well. And I have taken his work and tried to incorporate that in my own. Katie typically has very strong lines, dark black backgrounds, and striking white lines. Stephen Alcorn's is more flowing, more curvature, a mixture of them. And Dürer's work has a lot of metaphors involved in it. There are different meanings in Dürer's work. And I want to talk about my work in relation to resistance, which is in relation to oppression. folks in the room have seen this. It took me 4 years. I finally came up with this concept, the crucifixion of sign language. It's to symbolize the death of sign language or the oppression of it. I put the Roman numerals at the bottom of this is 1880, the time of the Milan Conference. This is George and the Dragon. This is a prince that has to go off and kill a dragon, and then is freed. Once he kills the dragon, then he frees the city. He's a patron saint. So I got rid of the saint part and put A.B. Bell as the dragon and Vedets as the prince, or the knight, the knight who would save ASL. Some people have seen this work. It's called the Missing Jigsaw puzzles. It's now, think about, my hands hand rolling this. This was done before 2018, so I hand rolled this piece. I didn't have that expensive piece of equipment. But most deaf people understand this piece, that the struggle of reading, writing, and having to speak. But here I'm showing the eyes are the simple missing pieces to the puzzle. They're right there in front of us. So that's, systematic oppression. This piece is called Resistance. It's based on my personality. I think in '78 there was a program. I had, it was an oral program. Students were sitting in that U-shaped, trying to speak and lip read the teacher. And then, we were gesturing. It was natural. We needed to speak to each other. So that natural gesture of, I got to go outside. I want to go play. And then we were told not to do that. And if we signed, our hands were taped to the table. And then the teacher would put their hands on our throat and our face and say, keep going, keep speaking. And then I would gesture with the other hand, and they would tape my other hand down. But inside, I had that resistance. I did not want to be forced to speak. And that's why I have these mouths on the table. I'm smashing them as part of my resistance to that upbringing. This piece is called Submission. Many deaf people experience, especially the oppression of being in an oral program. They're not being a lot of the art you see out there is there's no eyes or hands being chained or bells ringing near the ears, going to a door and it's locked. There's things that are chained, or this is, stuck in a whirlpool of that oralism belief. One of the other artists that I showed before, I looked at that and I sort of adapted this piece of art from that. This one is called Your Joy, My Pain. This is over in the Dyer currently. Again, from William Kurlick, is, opening up the mind and looking inside. So opening up a deaf person's mind who has always been taught that they have to speak and knowing that it's painful. So it's, putting those electrodes on your head. But people just don't know the pain that's in people's minds. If you see the ears are locked and people trying to fix them, but they're locked. And me saying, you don't have to fix my ears, just leave them alone, they're fine. And then that drill going into your brain, all those years of pain and frustration. It's just a representation of agony. And again, if you see A.G. Bell and have that huge bell, it's the toning of the death bell of the deaf community with cochlear implants. This one's called Dying Hands, and it's about language deprivation. If you see the hands, they're dying, they're starving to death. And that symbol that you see there, the deaf community uses that. It's a Nepalese sign for deaf. They didn't like the sign that we used. So they're using it as the five senses, yet one of them is missing. Hence, one finger is down. This is called You Sign, You Die. This is pretty understandable, just as is. In an oral class or a speech class, they're constantly telling you never use your hands, do not sign. So it's as if hand grenades are in our hands, and if we move them, they will blow. And you see that the teacher's hand has the pin, and the deaf child is saying, please put the pin back in. We will if you speak, with that image of the feather to make your P sounds or your B sounds. And if you do them right, then the pin will go back in and the grenade won't blow up. And that happens over and over and over again. I just finished this piece last year. And you look at the old hand representing an old system, backward and behind. My speech therapist was an old lady, and she had these long drop earrings that I was fascinated with, which meant I wasn't watching her mouth, I was looking at her earrings. Now I want to talk about affirmation art, celebrating being deaf. This piece is called Me, Your Mother. Stephen Alcorn, the linocut artist I showed before, I took a piece of his as my inspiration. My mother died at 21, and this was in honor of her. Typically, there was another woman, well-known hearing woman, that taught in Hartford at the private school, and Alcorn got together with this person.
Private all girls school. And then I felt like Alice knew what was going on, that she was being deprived of things. You know, like, oh, she's deaf, we can't educate her. And then she started being educated. And when she dies, she is in heaven watching over all of us. She's a star in the heavens, and she's our mother. This one's called The Breakthrough. So it's in honor of the 300th birthday of Abbé de l'Épée. So the phrase, it's French. His name is written in French on the top. And English, it's the father of swords. So that's why the swords are on the brick wall next to him. And I was designing it, deaf people are hiding somewhere dark, or they're in the darkness, and we need to bring them light. So I used that to reframe Aristotle's, the allegory of the cave. And I used that to reframe, you can't teach anyone in the dark. You have to break down the wall and allow the butterfly, symbolizing deaf children, to come out and flourish. He met two daughters who already signed and freed them, if you will, liberated them from their home where there was no language. So that's why there's two butterflies there. And Heineke and Aristotle are called to mind in this piece. Heineke was a German, strong oralist at that time. And that wall is still there because that oralism is still with us, and sign language and oralism are still fighting today. You see fingers for art. The filigrees up top. There's 3 of them, symbolize 3 different things. Just a nod to Laurent Claire Gallaudet and Edward Miner Gallaudet, so the Fleur de Lis. So I chose Stephen Elkhorn's style to work for this piece, and this is hanging in Gallaudet's presidential office. You can see the light rays, as Laurent Claire brought sign language to America, symbolizing a new beginning with a partnership between hearing and deaf persons. My twist on American Gothic by Grant Wood. Deaf people are America. We are as American as apple pie and baseball. We're part of the fabric of this country. And ASL is a natural language, and it's born here, and we use it. We're the people of the eye, so that's why the hands are there. If you notice, her brooch she has a little hand brooch at her collar there. It's very small. Anatomy of a Deaf Mind. This one is a recent piece. If you'll notice, the ear in this piece, it takes in sound. Where does the sound go? It's a maze. It follows the maze, constantly bouncing off of walls and corners. And what's learned? Nothing, because the sound gets lost. It doesn't make any sense. So, using vision, all of a sudden, knowledge comes to mind. That's why the bright light inside the mind is symbolized. That's natural, the natural way deaf people learn. And the Latin words, I do include Latin in some of my works. It's per manus scientiam, knowledge through the hands. Oh, this is a fun one. This is the same piece. There was a printmaking competition. Over 1,000 submissions were made. And I just sent this one and I didn't explain anything about deafness. They liked it, and I was picked for this show. And it was put in the middle of this show in the museum. And hearing people were walking around taking a look at it. And I explained it. It was a really nice honor that happened last fall. Nurturing language. This is another recent piece. I mean, it's pretty clear. The mother is feeding their deaf child sign language, natural language, and because of that, the child will flourish and acquire language. Same way children acquire language when they use their ears. They pick it up like a sponge. And do you see the I love you symbol in there? See the mother's hand holding onto the baby's arm, and then the baby's hand. So they're communicating love to one another. It's a sub-concept. It's love and connection between a mother and child with full language access. Liberation, the next theme that I often work with. So Valley's iconic paw drawing. So instead of seeing it from the front, I pivoted this character so we see her from the side. So this was 4 different blocks, and while I was painting, I ruined a couple, and then another one slipped, and this was not easy to make. I only made 3 of these because the blocks were damaged with water. They became bloated. The linoleum was just ruined, so I only made 3 prints of this. I think one's in Maryland and the other one's in Mississippi and Fremont. So you see the butterflies on her dress. That symbolizes deaf people. Beautiful to the eye. That's a motif of deafness that Divya artists use in their work. This is some of my very early work. Deafhood sets you free. You break free of the chains of oralism and you can become free in ASL. I know two people have tattoo of that butterfly. Two people have the crucifixion of the hand, and two people have the butterfly as tattoos on their bodies. You know, that's what struck them. It spoke to them. This is the deaf metamorphosis. It's about the journey a deaf person takes throughout their lives to realize who they are and how they fit into the world. And there's a big struggle that you have to go through that process. And it's some years, some are harder than others. And you get into college and you realize, oh, there's other deaf people like me, and they develop their deaf identity. And it can be much like a butterfly coming out of its chrysalis. Patty the Deafhood revolutionary. So this is a famous symbol, Che Guevara. So I put Patty Ladd there, who changed the way that people look at deaf people and started the Deafhood movement. So it's a take on that. That's Patty's face and his glasses there on the Che Guevara iconic. Could you go back for just a minute, Jean? Patty has it in his office. He's really proud of this piece. This is La Bella Luna, the beautiful moon. The title Patty came up with, so I want to provide recognition to Patty Dorr for naming this one for me. So it's a girl, she's got long flowing hair, she sees the moon and it's sparkling off the plants, and there's a moth that's flying. You know how moths are attracted to light? So the moth visits each one of the flowers, and the child follows the moth, sees the flowers, and the flowers are moonflowers. And then she looks up and sees the moon, and she talks to the moon and says, "Look, we're playing in your light." And then there's a moth, asks, "Where are we going next?" So she only shows up on a night of a full moon. I suggest you go look for her. If you find her, please do join her in her journey. So this is it's just communicating a message that deaf people are full people and they are fine just as they are. So I did some portraits. There's Nancy, aka N3. So we worked on something. Gauguin and Van Gogh knew each other when they were artists. So I was wondering what it would look like if we were to work on a piece. So she made something and I made something. And the three primary colors that Nancy uses in her works, the third eye is to symbolize wisdom. And then she puts everything through the Devia glasses that she uses in her artwork. Devia started to change into surrealism, thinking about wisdom, and it's your third eye and philosophy. It's all wrapped up in this piece. There's one hidden symbol that's gigantic, but everybody misses it. So, you see what that symbol is? What? Oh, somebody has it. It's not. It's
The N3, is that what you're talking about?
no. Look at the word. Yin yang. Oh, do you see it now? Yeah. So this half of the circle is the black, and the other half is the white. White is pride, black is resistance. So there's good and bad, yin and yang, a balance within this piece. Do you see it now? You solved the mystery now, right? Nancy was like, "Come on." Now she understands it.
Okay, I was trying to look at this and examine it and figure out where it is. Now I know.
It's very rare to use paint. We use gouache paint. It's very bold colors. And Nancy uses, her sign name is N3. We're going to donate this to the Dyer Art Center for its permanent collection. So just to let you know, Tabitha, that will be part of the permanent collection of the Dyer Art Center. And this one is called Serendipity. I use bird houses, and, I didn't speak and use my voice at that time. People thought you have to speak if you want to be successful. So I'm showing that hand symbol of deafness, that loss of one sense. But sign language, as you see, symbolized by the eye on the hand, is really showing you that we are full, complete people. And it's one of the oldest languages on Earth. And that's, the birdhouse is there, symbolizing a safe place for all deaf people to survive. Great. Thank you so much for having me, everyone. Thank you. Go see my art in the Dyer Art Center. It closes February 22, right? Yeah, so get in there and look at it. And Nancy Rourke's work is there as well. You can visit my studio table and my tools. Nancy's got a studio table there. If there's something you would like to buy, you could just email me. And I ship my work around the world. Sometimes I've sent it to Australia and Europe. So just let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your love of art as well, everyone. And David, I learned a lot from you and your experience, the journey you've had. Some has been the same as mine, some is different. Everybody here is on a life journey, so thank you.